Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be making our first attempt at making cold process soap. Hey y'all, well we have gotten some good soaps here from a local farmer's market and we really loved them, and then we did some research and found out this is actually super easy. Although this process can be dangerous, you can take proper precautions and make your own really good soap at home. So today we're going to be making a pretty standard recipe soap with some charcoal in it, some activated charcoal, as well as some cedar wood and orange scents in it. It's going to be based with olive oil, and it's also going to have avocado oil, castor oil, and coconut oil in it. We also have these molds that I made today from 1x4s. I have 3 of them, so hopefully they'll be good enough and we'll have plenty of space. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is get our lye or sodium hydroxide and water mixture going. That way it has some time to cool down because it can get hot. So I will say a word of warning about this. This stuff can be very dangerous and caustic. If it gets in your skin or anything with moisture, it can really do damage. So make sure to use proper precautions. I have long gloves, I have a long sleeve shirt on, as well as some clear eye protection to use. It's also very important to make the proper measurements and have the right proportions. So in this case, if you go to soapcalc.net or just Google soapcalc, C-A-L-K, you can put in the different oils and get all the proper ingredients and amounts. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my gloves and goggles on. I'll be right back. All right, so talk about lye. This is actually kind of harder stuff to find, sodium hydroxide. Typically you can find it from a chemical store, but you can also get it at your local hardware store. I got this at Lowe's, and it is 100% sodium hydroxide. It's made for a drain cleaner, but it will work exactly for what we're gonna use it today. So we're gonna go ahead and get one of our little buckets. I got 2 size buckets for measuring, just so I'm not using any kitchen buckets for any of this. At Lowe's, these reach like $1 or $2, something like that. So it'll work perfect in case one of them gets ruined. So we'll get this on our scale here. So go ahead and pour this in very carefully. 67. You want to try and be as precise as possible because the soap calc is changing its calculations depending on what kind of soaps you use, and it can make a difference. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm going to add in water, and this is going to call for 100 grams of water. A little bit extra, so hopefully it's not a big deal. Okay, like a cloudy mixture right now, and you should stir it basically up until it becomes clear, is what I have been told at least. And this will get warm, so it's not turning clear for me, but we're going to leave it at that. We're going to set this aside just so it's not right next to our workspace. Okay, just going to wipe down my workspace just in case I did get anything on there, because that stuff is just, like I said, so bad for you. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is measure out our oils. So in this case, like I said, our base oil is going to be olive oil, so we'll get that first, and we will mix it in one of our big jugs here. And it is going to call for 350 grams of olive oil. I'm honestly not sure if it's going to take like this whole thing, or I don't know. Oh, this might take a while. Probably should have popped the top off the cap. That may have made it a little bit easier. We're at 175. 350, perfect. And only used about half the bottle of olive oil, so that's good. Got plenty left. Next thing is going to be avocado oil. So we're going to have 75 grams of that, so I'm going to re-zero the scale here. Get 75 grams in. Okay. So next we're going to actually add castor oil. We only want a small amount of this, so we're only going to add 5% in this case, which adds up to 25 grams. So we can get our scale zeroed out. Probably should have unpacked this, but I didn't. We've been having major problems with our mail delivery here. So we've been waiting on this stuff to actually come in to do this for probably a few days now, as well as some Christmas presents. So that's why I kind of wanted to get started once we got it in. All right, so 25 grams of castor oil. Supposedly this helps get a nice lather in it, but if you have too much, it'll make like it'll make that like a really too crumbly and it'll fall apart almost. So 25, perfect. All right, and the last thing we're gonna do is add coconut oil. This is another one you don't wanna add too much of because it can cause problems. It can cause your skin to dry out if you have too much of it and you use it. So we're only going to be using, I think, 10% of this solution as coconut oil. Okay, sorry. Like I was saying, we are using this coconut oil, but what I did forget to get out is a bowl, because you're going to have to microwave this stuff. After you measure it out, I'm going to take it in the microwave and zap it just to make sure it's liquid before we mix it in with the other oils. So in this case, 50 grams of coconut oil. Not a whole lot. Cool, that'll work. Okay, so we'll take this into the kitchen and we'll get it zapped and we'll be right back. All right, so as you can tell, our coconut oil is nice and melted down. I'll pour that into the rest of the oils here. Okay, so part of this recipe is that we are going to have activated charcoal in it. So I don't actually have any like scoop out charcoal, but my wife did have charcoal like capsules. So I'm going to grab a few of these and empty them into my little measuring spoon here. And we're going to want half a tablespoon, so it's actually not a whole heck of a lot. This might take a while. Seven was about what will work for me. That's close enough to half a tablespoon. So the next thing that we're going to do, at least to get stuff ready, is our oils. This actually takes a lot more oil than I thought, and so I'm kind of interested to see how it actually works out here. It actually requires 15 grams of oil per kilogram. So in this case, I'm going to do 10 grams of cedar wood and 5 grams of orange oil, which I imagine is going to be a good chunk of the bottles, but we'll see. Especially when you have these little tiny bottles. I was hoping you could take these little droppers out, so that'll make it easier to pour, and you can't. Let me make sure this is tared at 0. If I have excess, it'll smell nice and good. I got 11 in there, but it's close enough. This one, yeah. Yeah, this actually isn't too bad. We're already up to 3 grams. We're only doing like 5 or 6. So. Cool. I actually used less than I thought, so we still got just like a little under half of a bottle of this stuff. So that's good. Set these aside. So now that everything is mixed together for the most part, we do got to add our charcoal in there. But I'm going to get my molds ready real quick because the next part of this should go pretty quick, and I don't want to be caught off guard. So with my molds, I just made them out of wood by 1x4s, and it took about 10 minutes. And each one of those is probably in the realm of, I don't know, $3 to make. So I'm pretty happy with it. And then for a liner, I am just going to do a plastic bag, basically torn in half. So I would be very surprised if this takes more than one. So I'm just going to kind of get it pushed in and kind of ready almost. So the next part of this that you need to have for this process is a stick blender. I got another one, so I'm not using the one from my kitchen because, well, it's going to get lye and oils and all sorts of other junk on it. Even though I'm going to clean it up, I just don't want to be using this to cook with after I'm done making soap with it. So these are pretty inexpensive. You can get these at Walmart. You know, you don't need anything fancy. Just a cheap one will work. Okay. So to get going here, first of all, I'm just going to mix up my oils at a low speed, making sure to keep the blender underneath at all times. Okay, just make sure it's nice and blended up. I'm going to put my activated charcoal in there. Okay, I'm kind of going to stir it and then I'll mix it a little bit as well. Okay, you just want to make sure that that's nice and uniform in there before we go to our next step. Okay, now we have our lye mixture back. It's still a little warm, but not a big deal. You really want it as cool as possible because the warmer it is, the faster this is going to happen. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to slowly mix that into our oils, and then we're going to use our stick blender to kind of get it emulsified and really stir it up really well up until a point called trace, which is basically when you lift up your stick blender or your whisk or whatever you're making it with, it's actually going to leave a little trace of it on top. So it's kind of thick is what it really means. And then we're going to pour it into our mold and we'll let it sit for about 12 hours. So let's get started here. Carefully pouring this in. We don't want to splash it. Okay. And now we'll start blending. I realized I probably could have used a smaller jug, but you can tell it's already starting to thicken up. So okay, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of starting to leave marks on the top there. So that's one. We're going to call it trace at least, even if it's not, it's close enough. And then we're going to pour it into our mold. Use our spatula. Carefully. It didn't make as much as I thought it would make, but that smell is awesome. So maybe my next one will probably make a double batch, but for now this will work. So it almost has the consistency of like peanut butter, if you can see that on the top camera there. So I'm just going to try and flatten this out as much as possible. So that is it. So I'm going to let this sit for 12 hours now and let it cure. We'll be back in the morning to check it out. But I'm also going to go ahead and clean all this stuff up inside. We'll see you guys later. All right. Well, it has been actually a couple of days, thanks to work, that this stuff has been drying out. You really don't want to leave it drying out that much, but we'll make do. So this stuff just smells awesome. I'm so excited about it. So we're going to go ahead and demold it and cut it, and then we'll let it dry. You can really use it right away, but it'll work best if you let it dry for a while. Pull this out here. Maybe. This isn't supposed to be this difficult to pull out. Maybe we should have demolded it earlier. We'll see if we can kind of wedge it out with this a little bit better. Enough to get it out. It shouldn't be this difficult. So I think what I'm going to try and do is maybe drill a couple holes in the bottom of this mold just to create like air that can go in and release that suction. Got a little soap on the drill bit. Oh well. It's weird. It's like, go back in and come out to this point. I don't know, maybe the mold is like wonky a little bit. Don't tell my wife I did that. I'm at least gonna have to take out a few of these nails. I'm just gonna use a little couple of tools here and hammer on this, like So this is actually used for flooring, but it's will work perfectly for here. Just to kind of move the wood out a little bit, just to get the soap out. Get off already. So, I don't know if you can see this on camera or not, but these two sides are basically like tilted in. So when you try and pull it out, it's just not going to come out. Even with that end off, it's still not going to pull directly up. But you can slide it out the back. Jeez. Wow. Well, that was a lot more work than it should be. And hopefully you guys don't have to do that when demolding your soap. But the good news is the soap turned out great. It looks really good. Oh man, it smells great. Those scents are just awesome. All right, so now we're gonna actually cut this, and I'm gonna use this soap cutter. You can get these online on Amazon. We got that on Amazon with little mold that we're gonna try on another bar of soap later. But this should slice through this really easily. It also comes with like a serrated blade too that you can get. But the link to this is below in the description if you'd like one too. So try and make these about an inch and go straight down. Perfect. First bar. Nice. That is awesome. Oh, it just smells so good. So now in order to get these the same thickness, what I'm gonna do is just kind of use this as a guide almost, and then just mark where the next bar should be cut. All right, so this yielded me about 8 bars that are about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick and about the same size as a bar of soap. So I got 8 of those plus a little bit extra that I can keep for myself just to try it out. So that was awesome. It was like super easy. So I'm gonna actually just set these on a little like drying rack, just like a kitchen, like a mesh rack, just to let them dry for at least a day or two after cutting. You can leave them drying actually up to like 2 to 3 weeks if you have the time. I do not, because we need to give these as gifts though. So yeah, all in all, this is like really easy. Is it economical or cheaper than just a bar of soap at the store? Most definitely not. In these 8 bars of soap, it's probably in the realm of about $10 worth of oils and materials and stuff like that. If you count in the essential oils, it's probably more like 15. So it's not necessarily economical compared to your normal bar of soap. But if you were to buy like a really nice bar of soap at like a farmer's market or online through like an Etsy store, then it's definitely a lot cheaper because they can be upwards of $7, $8, $9 a piece. So with this, I mean, you're looking at less than $2, and this is really high quality soap. And we really wanted to do this because we know what's in this bar of soap. We know that it is very natural ingredients in terms of the oils and the essential oils for scents. So we are pretty happy with this, and I'm excited to try some and see how it works. So thanks a lot, y'all, for watching. If you guys have any comments, concerns, questions about anything we did here, you want to put them below in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, y'all, for watching. We really appreciate it. If you would consider subscribing by clicking on the icon below, and make sure to turn on bell notifications so you do get notified every time a video does come out, which is every Thursday. Also, please be sure to check out the video that YouTube recommends for you on your left, as well as our most viewed video to your right.